I am now recording, everybody. It is time. Now I can edit this later, and I probably will. But welcome to Deep Web3 Secrets here in the Hive General Discord, which probably a Hive Discord. We'll think of a better name. Okay, so we are here with now. What can I call you, friend? Qasim, is that right? Am I saying that right?
That's fine.
We're here with Qasim, and we're here with Hive Trending. Hive Trending is one of those guys where his silence says more than most people's presence. So we love this guy. I wanted to jump right in here with Hive Trending. Feel free to use the chat. No pressure on the microphone. But I noticed this morning that our little bot experiment was doing pretty good. It was giving information. What can we Agrod's ready for this. He wants. We're doing with Hive Trending is we're uh, kind of doing something that probably even other people are already doing, which is monitoring the nodes. And all we need is a webhook to make a channel in Discord, which is going to give better communication and better information in moments of crisis for people to talk about what's going on. Uh, I am completely lost on where is this. I have too many Discords. Okay, boom. Here we go. We're back in the Discord. Um, and maybe I'll just show it. The secret pizzas. Um, I think I can show it on my recording. Oh boy. Here it is. We got the Hive engine, uptime, Kuma bot. And so we can see that we're still playing with the error codes to know exactly what they mean, because sometimes we're seeing that, maybe they're busy and they're refusing it, but they are not actually down, or maybe they're back up quickly. But all of this, a signal is what we're looking for. And that, let me move you up, Pizza. You need to be higher in my priorities. All right, we're moving the pizza up. Pizza Discord needs to be higher in the priorities. Now, Qasim, what is your strategy with managing so many Discords? How are you so apt and able to be in and out of every single Discord in these Web3 communities?
There is if you drag and drop most of Discords in icons, you can actually make a list of them if you drag two Discords together.
The
So
folder.
I keep, yeah, it makes a folder. So you can actually, like within Discord app on mobile phone, if you pick one Discord and drop it on other Discord, it will merge. So I keep different types of Discords in list. So whenever I think of a Discord, I know where it belongs in which list. Like most of tribe token Discords are separated and services Discord are different. So yeah, and of course all the Discords where I have different responsibilities, I keep them as a different list on top and pin it. So yeah, a little bit of organization is can.
Can go a long way. I've just been foldering my Discords on the stream as we speak. I'm a little nervous about this. Um, I'm gonna need to set some times because I want to go into my DMs right now. Somebody's messaging me, but now I'm recording it, so I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not.
I think it's a bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea. Bad idea. Avoid that. Okay, so sorry, bro. I want to talk to you, but I cannot. I am recording.
I think in most of the streaming applications, you can stop showing your screen for a few seconds if you want to actually check what's in the game. But be sure it's actually working as intended.
Oh, great
I
work. I
remember.
just did that. I just did that. Okay, now I can go and chat with him. Okay, so talk to us a little more about Discord security because Discord is a place where people in Web3 meet. And I know, Qasim, you are pretty experienced in the keeping uh, technical and physical protection and awareness online of what people are actually up to and doing. So maybe give us just the 2 minute version of being safe in Discord.
I have to think about it. Of course, I have a strong password, email, and 2FA authenticator. These are just simple things you have to do. And then don't reply to all the DMs, don't click links. These are some
Don't
journal practices.
click links. Don't click links,
Yeah,
everybody. This is it. This is the advice. Don't click any links.
you know, there was a very popular person from OCD, and that person got hacked on Discord, and because their anime community actually OCD have a community incubation program from their anime community moderator actually sent anime Discord because and the message says check this, and it was an anime Discord. Since it actually looked very natural, the person clicked it, and after scanning a QR code, after joining, there was a QR code in the Discord, and the person just thought that maybe it's just a verification. Let's just use the QR code. The moment you scan that QR code after joining that Discord, your account gets hacked and it starts spamming the same Discord like check out this anime Discord to all the other DMs. And it was very easy to fall for it. Even most experienced persons sometimes fell for it, and I particularly remember Spirit Surge and me also got hacked because of that scanning QR code. Because at that time, this technology wasn't used much by hackers or people who are trying to make botnets. So
I think
scammers
it's
will
really
always try to.
interesting the QR
Yeah.
code. I prefer nowadays to have the QR code tell, and I think most of them do this, but make sure yours does this. To have the QR code or use a QR code reader that shows you the URL. And even then, I mean, you have to be a little savvy with URLs, but that's one way. Instead of automatically taking you to the link, it should show you the URL. And you should pay attention to this, knowing that this is possible. If a URL doesn't look right, or if the person giving you the URL wouldn't be the kind of person you'd lend $5 to, then be very careful with this technology. It's a good technology.
The problem is most of the times hackers use new tactics nobody is aware of. One time Discord started allowing href, hyperreference. So, like text was redirecting to websites, and the text was saying, for example, Binance.com, but it wasn't taking you to actual Binance.com. It was taking you to some other websites. The thing is, by the evolution of technology, hackers also evolve. We have to use our common sense, our spidey senses, I would say, to be aware of it because you are not going to get scammed or get hacked based on things you already know. Hackers will hack you from new methods, will try to get your account. So, yeah, they no matter how much you learn or how much precautions you do, they're not going to use old tricks. They will use a new trick whenever there is a new Discord update or there is new thing with QR scanners or blah blah blah. So whenever a new Discord major update comes, hackers will also use new tricks. So you also have to use your spidey senses in most of the cases.
I love that spidey sense because think about it this way. This when we live in a world of thinking human beings, reactionary, and we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, but there's a big difference in what's new and what's available, right? And we can draw that distinction in many different ways. But the key thing is we live in a thinking world, right? So the most dangerous times, and dangerous can mean many things, risking your money, for example, risking your identity. The most dangerous times are during updates. Updates are the most risky time, hard forks or soft forks, updates, because these are or not as well tested periods, whether it's a Discord chat client or it's a blockchain or side chain or protocol. The updates is the period when I would say security people would say that's when you should be most aware, right? Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. And if we talk about, if you want, we can talk about securing Hive keys.
I can't believe you led right to it. Well, here's the thing. I worked with Hive Columbia on onboarding in 2023, and in 2024 I took a step back for 17 different reasons. But one of the reasons that really was in my brain, hooked in my brain, is the next push. What I mean, we have everything. We've got Hive Keychain Mobile. We've got easy signups. 3 clicks. I mean, at the crypto conventions, these people are savvy. It was like 3 clicks. They put in a little bit of info. They got their keys. They got Hive Keychain Mobile. And I got a lot of them hooked. One of them was John Tomaszewski, who's, rising star right now, which we got to support that. That's Hive Columbia. But one thing that really has me still scratching my head is the level at which I need to talk to them about keys. I did it in our 30 video series in Spanish. We did one video, 2.5 minutes, about the importance of keys. But the fact remains that the importance of securing your keys is different to different users. And a user with $0 in the account cannot and will not have the same priority in key securing as a person with $20 or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000. And those levels are different for a different person. And it's kind of similar with voting for witnesses. The guy that comes in, Keychain, I just noticed this. A lot of people are proxying Keychain. I wonder why that is. Well, I think I know why it is. I don't know exactly how it's happening, but the fact remains that a lot of accounts have a low bar of money in the game. To vote for 30 witnesses, it takes work. Now, there could be some people that with $50, they want to learn everything about every single witness, and more power to them. But some people, even with $100, would say, bro, who onboarded me? You make that decision. I'm sure you'll make the right decision because you know way more than me. And this is why we have delegated proof of stake. So I think very similarly about key security. I almost treat my onboards like I'm their proxy key security. I'm starting to keep their keys. And at the day they ask me how to change them, I'll be so happy to teach them. In fact, it's a tool on our list to build, easy key change. But we need to really talk about, when we're talking about onboarding, about the levels of the levels of seriousness of which you can take key security, and which of those are the right levels at the right times for onboarding. And I would love to hear maybe your bullet points on that, Qasim.
First of all, let's discuss our personal account security keys, right? We can move towards onboarding.
Yeah, do it, man. Let's start with the people that already have skin in the game to a greater or lesser extent.
When I joined Hive, I also didn't knew much. I was storing my keys on cloud. So then I started observing how people they're using phishing methods to hack emails of people. When you sign up using Essency, it actually sends you an email on your account where keys are stored. A lot of accounts got hacked, and then I like Terminal a lot, the Terminal project, and there is the Kitty girl who I admire a lot. I asked her, how do you store her keys? How do you store your keys? So I don't know exact number, but as much as I remember, she stores her keys in 7 different USBs, which is a lot of security in case one USB gets corrupted, or and she even stores them in different locations. So for example, if she lives in a different location, one USB would be stored in her mama's place, and even her mama wouldn't know that this particular gift that the kitty girl gifted me also stores a USB where her keys are stored as a backup.
Okay, I got to jump
So
in
I
here. That is so interesting. And this will be the first time I reveal this, but the most important keys in my life are in more than one country. And so we also need to think about, and I love the way you're describing this, because the more I talk to you about what I'm doing, the less secure I am. But I also think that these conversations are important. So finding a way, like 7 different USBs, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to describe it, because what I'm saying is I have redundancy and I have secrecy. A USB could be anything. And so that's a really, so far so good, man. What else you got for me? Any other users with interesting ways to back up their keys? Qasim, we lost you. There you go. Are you blinking? Are you green?
yeah. So also we can encrypt our using our own encryption methods. Talking with Yaziris and Mahir Abdullah, I learned about encryption methods, and at that time I was also learning data encryption and security. So I actually developed my own encryption system. So assume that first of all, my USB, if gets into hand of someone who is malicious user, and they try to open it, first of all, it's a zipped file where keys are stored in the USB. So first of all, they would need a password to crack the zip file. Let's say they actually cracked it, then they will have to decrypt that, which like I encrypted personally, writing my own code, writing my own unique key. So even if they get access to all the text files where all the keys are stored in the USB, they would be facing another encryption method that is not any encryption method available in the world, like not the popular ones at least, or because there is unique keys to encrypt our other keys. So the text is again encrypted to protect it. And I don't think so that anybody can figure out my own encryption strategy. So that's another layer of security, that you can use your own encryption methods to encrypt text.
I really like that. Now, I should mention that no, excuse me, Keychain, which are basically the two tools that I most use to interact with Hive. But Keychain has an interesting feature, and that is that you have a PIN, and so we use it on our browser, and we enter our PIN, and you can export the keys, and those keys are already encrypted with that PIN. So if you do zip it up with an additional password, we've got double encryption. But Keychain will never store the owner keys. So this very cool in-house solution for, let's say, transporting your keys to another device, which, remember, updates are always the security risks. Whenever you're moving to a new setup, you are the security risk to your own keys. So this really good solution does not work for owner keys. And I wonder how much a new user needs to know about the 5 different keys that they get spit out at on the first day.
HiveOnboard.com has a lot of wonderful graphics explaining keys, and you can actually download that picture. Whenever I onboard a newbie, I just send them that picture, and they can zoom in and read all the stuff related to what each key does. If you want, I can also drop it in the chat.
I think you should. I think you should drop the best onboarding material that you know of on this topic because it appears that this is the topic of today's show, or at least it is in this moment. And anybody else, feel free to ask some questions. It kind of just came up, but that was something that still gets me because I continuously make improvements to my own key security. And as a human being, I continuously move to new devices and have an opportunity to think about these issues. So I'd love to find a way to make it common. I don't know that people talk about this. Like, not your keys, not your coins is about as far as people go. And of course, I lost it all in a boating accident.
I dropped the image.
What am I looking at here? Is this a mobile first onboarding guide? What is this? Where would I find this site? It is an onboarding site. Very good. Well, that's handy for everybody to know. And I just want to mention up above in this voice general chat a day ago or however, I know it's weird, time zones are weird with chat, but some guy was like, hey, this thing, can't we do another thing? And he named a thing that I think I already did and nobody knows about. And I said, man, it sure is nice when people know about what's going on. But this is the reality of decentralized communities. And so I want to just take a moment here. I don't know what you're doing, and I want to know. I, more than anyone, maybe, or as much as anyone, want to know what everyone is doing, and I don't know what you're doing. So tell me, Hive on board, or whoever, listening to this on YouTube later, like, when I feel like I'm not getting my recognition, the most likely case is not what most people assume, which is that they don't like me. It's that they don't know what you're doing. They're busy. There's a scarce attention span to busy humans in an open source, decentralized, anarcho-capitalistic, voluntary community construction mechanisms that we got going on here. And we need to calculate into our own emotional understanding that probably people don't not like us. They don't know what we're doing. They don't know about Magnet Bank. They don't know about that. And they don't know that Hive Onboard has really cool icon onboarding. Dang, I'm going to use that. I'm going to talk. Who do I talk to about this to get a Spanish version of this shiny icon heavy image?
I think OCD.
OCD. OCD. Okay, so who's that?
SEDO. SEDO.
I've heard of that guy. Isn't he in here? Let's ping him. Let me ping him. Acid Yo. Yeah, buddy. So what time zone is this Acid Yo fella on? Is he a European?
I think he's a German, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard he does stuff. I've definitely seen him doing stuff around. So cool. And he might want German too. So I bet you he's thought about translation before. Europeans more than Americans think about second languages faster in the hierarchy of ideas.
I I think the terminal Discord would love to actually translate because they are educational hub on Hive. So, and they actually translated welcome message in Urdu language, which is of Pakistan. I
Wow.
bit of other people speak. So the terminal actually translated welcome message and they drop in Urdu for Pakistanis if they actually remember that this person's intro is Pakistani intro. Hey, have you met project?
Hey, have you
Hey, have
met?
you
I've
met?
heard of them. Yeah, so okay, so we need to this is it. This is the magic, guys. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do any work. All I'm going to do is the real work of getting this guy to talk to that guy. And they're going to do all the work cuz that's how decentralized community building works. What other world problem should we solve today?
Highlighting Pakistani onboarding efforts.
Well, okay, what does that
Not
mean?
many know about it. Not many know about it anyway.
Well, okay, let's take it at a bigger, let's take a wider scope because just a few quick scrolls up, we were fighting to the death about Leo Finance proposal. So let's talk about onboarding efforts and and what that means. What does onboarding mean? What are our goals? Is it our goal that the users we onboard 1 month ago have a whole bunch of hive power already? Is that a goal?
I think their content should be genuine and they should be actually real person, not a botnet managing thousands of accounts because we have seen that before.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all is can somebody write in the chat? Can we put some a bullet point together? We can organize it later, but I agree. First goal should be that they're humans. I agree with that. Let's somebody put that in chat. Number 1, first goal of onboarding should be to get not accounts but humans. Okay, good. What else?
I think they should be good in one particular niche. I don't think so. It's a very good thing to Maya, but I think like they should be at least good in one type of thing like travel blogging, finance, or something. Even Splinterland games
Well,
like
wait a second. Wait a
uh,
second. No, I don't. I don't. I feel like we're that's a dead end because if they're human, they are good at something, or at least they are interested in something. And so,
their accounts show
if
they are
they're
genuine, like
human,
the API post.
yeah,
Like
human is
by looking
sufficient.
at the account, looking at the account, if we visit their walls, like just as a human looking at other humans' accounts, we should be able to judge that they are real humans. It's not just coin market cap post or Binance Square post respinning. When we look into the account by their comments, their posts, and we manually review it, we should be able to judge that this person have some interest, this person has a personality. It's not just someone talking about different updates happening in the ecosystem. Like
Fantastic point. Okay, let me just dive in there. Okay, let's try to take it point by point. I think, and I put it here, and we got a great quote by Hype trending here. I think that's his last name. He's G.K. Chesterton. That is Hype trending. He says there are no uninteresting things, only uninterested people. And so we can obviously see that he's talking about Splinterland's content and and the fact that I find it uninteresting is because I'm an uninterested person, not because the content about really how do you use this rule set when you only have bronze cards? When a guy is really trying to solve a problem, I could see that there's some interesting value in that. I just, it's like a tutorial on how to play Go better. I don't play Go, I play chess. So I'm not interested in that tutorial. But I see it could have value because there are interested people in almost every topic, right? So the fact that you said, because this is not about them, it's about us. So first, they should be human. That's about them. But second, this is about us. We should Turing test them, right? And so maybe we think that since Leo brought them in, Leo should Turing test them. Or since Hive Pakistan brought them in, it's the responsibility of Hive Pakistan to Turing test their own people. But that Turing test, I think, is a very good point number two. What else you got, Qasim? I like this. We're doing good work here.
I like about the Turing test. I was saying sometimes I play with Hive SQL data to know how much account created by Hive Pakistan likes which fruit, just for the testing and understanding the power of blockchain, how much this blockchain holds. Like I just write a query, accounts created by Hive Pakistan, and then I write another query to know wherever that person mentions a fruit, and then I make charts and compare fruits. And this is not just about fruits. We one day we would be able to do it with Pepsi, Coca-Cola, brands, research. If Hive grows, this database can be really valuable. So when we are talking about Turing test, we can actually run different queries and pick directly from running the query that this person is a human or not. Running different queries, if they're answering to different queries in their post, in their comments, we can learn a lot about users. And
This is good.
and like
Okay.
I have a bot in Hive Pakistan Urdu chat and English chat room. Whenever users talk there, it picks their words and try to get information about them, basic information.
Well, let me
Like
jump in here. Let me jump in here because what you're talking about is so fascinating, but I need to unpack it because I feel like maybe we're the only two that know what the heck you're talking about. So I had a really interesting conversation with Starkers just the other day because one of the things that we discovered while working on the Crazy GM Hive Tools kit toolbox is that this memo key encryption that we can do on chain, we can do it off chain. In fact, the power of key pairs is not even blockchain technology. I mean, it's one of the bases of blockchain technology, but there's a lot of open source tools to work with key pairs. And when I was talking to Starkers, he was saying something very similar to you. He was saying that the value of the content in the blocks is greater than the face value. Also, we can train data sets and train agents. And what you're talking about is maybe market studies. We can study markets, and all of this data is there. And I said to him, and I said, yes, and people can self-select for encryption on or off chain. So can you imagine? I have a tool now that would allow this. I send you a comment on your post, but I off-chain encrypt it. I go to my encryptor, I crypt it with my memo key, but instead of sending it as a wallet transaction, I send it as a comment on your post. And you, with my easy tool, or in a future with an even easier built-in interface, will do 3 clicks and you will be able to see my message. Now, what am I signaling here? I can do this in custom JSON as well. We do it all the time. But what I'm signaling here is that um, we can determine as users of this blockchain with the accounts we have now, with the technology we have now, we don't need any other layers to do this now. We can determine whether we want our data to be available for training models or to be private. I could encrypt my entire post. And because Hive multi-key encryption is so powerful, I could add 30 accounts that could de-encrypt it. I know all of your public keys. Only you guys know their private pair, but I know your public key. I could pick only the people in this room, go and publish a post right now with an encrypted message that these 12 people could read and nobody else could. I can choose whether my data trains a model or not. Now, we don't really have the interface tools to be choosing this, but all the technology is here. We just need to build some simple tools to use it in that way. Um, we could put private health data into the custom JSON, encrypted with a memo key or even a posting key or an active key or any of the keys because they all have public pairs.
Now we now back to the Turing test. We were saying either they are humans or not. Imagine with this data, someone says in one post that they are the eldest brother, and some post they say they are the youngest. And one time they are saying something else, and in a different post, in a different comment, they are contradicting with their own thoughts. When someone does it over and over again, it can easily hint us that this person is not a real person because they don't have real memories. If they are faking everything, they are also forgetting what they really are. And why this is important is because of AI images. We have seen a lot of Instagram model type posts in like to you community and in different modeling communities. There is another community, Hive models, I guess. So there are a lot of AI faces trying to be real hivers. They are not even real persons, but they are going to places, they are having dinner, they are having families, and all of these are AI images. And yeah, we have uncovered a lot of them in past. So this Turing test with either they are human or not, and when people contradict their own thoughts in posts and comments, it would be far easier for us to know that this person is a fake person. And of course, someone would be manually reviewing it to make a final decision about it. It's not like technology is beeping and then they just start getting downvotes or getting flagged.
Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. I'm not a pro, so I have to tab back over to Discord to get my microphone to turn on again. Um, I think this is really interesting because, and of course, I can already think of the tools that I would use if you were hunting me with that tool. I would, of course, establish a script, and I would always be the eldest brother, and I would always like mangoes. But I get what you're saying, and so the arms race will continue, but that just means we need to continue to be creative and exploratory and maybe even playful in our attitude towards it. Yes, we need to crush abuse, but we need to do it. We need to play it to keep up the spirit of what we're doing. We need to crush abuse in a playful way. I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know, when we were talking about keys and Discord hacks, we also talked about whenever there is technology advancements, hackers will try to, or scammers will try to use new tricks. Similarly, with advancement in technology, of course, Hive scammers will also use new tricks. And if we are allowing this content rewards and this all layer one rewarding system to authors, we have to be careful about technology advancements and of course have to improve our measurements or how we would say if someone is authentic.
I love that. We need a continuously evolving standard of metrics by which we measure new users. And even to take that one step further, this to me is important in light of the recent discussions about Leo Finance. And I mentioned in my public service announcement in the general channel, um, disagreeing is healthy. So this is healthy. We should be disagreeing. So this is healthy. But what is even more healthy is that we stick to discussing what are the metrics. I can much more easily say I disagree with the metric of Azir Khan's post because I feel like low HP, low LP, Leo power is an expected outcome of a bunch of onboarding in the last month. I can say I disagree with his metric a lot easier than I can say I disagree with Azarkan. Because, wait a second, Azarkan has a whole lot of opinions. And I'm not even sure that I do disagree with all of them or even any of the other ones, because all I know is we're talking about this metric. And if we could all keep that in mind, I think the conversations would be more productive, because we all should know, even though this is billed sometimes as a social media platform, we should know that this is a space for rebels. We're all here because we're rebellious. We're thinking that the system, and we're going to use these freedom tools, but the tools are only about establishing protocols. And so we can establish protocols to make a better jail cell, but I think it's better that we establish the protocols in a game like mindset. And we know that we're not going to agree with everybody on everything, but we look for the things that we agree on and we slowly take the steps in the right direction. And, maybe we don't shoot a guy for trying something. There was one thing I want to mention, and I'd love, Qasim, I need your feedback on this because I'm playing with this idea still. And that is because I'm starting to onboard people again, and a lot of these people, it's the third time. They're like, like my friend who did the BTC Sphere website, and I'm working with him on it. He already had D-City cards. That's why he randomly did a D-City article on his website, because it's 4 years ago I gave him some D-City NFTs. So as we onboard these people again and they ask these questions and we consider the questions again in new eyes, 4 years smarter, a lot of DeFi seems like a retarded idea or a bad idea or however you want to say it. Because and the more I learn about trading, which I hate that word, but you kind of got to learn finance in these worlds too. The more I learn about it, the more I think that not every bad idea is a scam. Just because you lost money doesn't mean it was a scam. It means it was a bad investment. And so, Qasim, you often share with me your different trades, and you operate on a very short time scale. I'm more of a glacier kind of guy, but I love your perspective on it, because my question is this. No, wait, let me think about my question. Answer whatever I just said, and I'm going to restructure the question.
You want me to answer first?
Say something while I think about what I'm trying to say, please.
Okay, I get what you're trying to say. You're saying that if people lost money in Sprinterlands or Rising Star, does not mean it's a bad product. Maybe they joined Sprinterlands or Rising Star when it was hyped or it was overbought.
Yes, thank you for wrapping that up. Yes, please respond to that idea that scams are not the only way to lose money. Sometimes you could just have bad timing, or it was just a bad idea. That's not a scam. Just, it's a money losing operation.
Like people investing into tribe tokens. So that tribe token is
Yeah.
not generally a scam, but it's a bad investment because it was their fault to not look into tokenomics, inflation, and other things related to that tribe token.
I think this particular message needs more digestion. I need to chew it more. I love to bring it up in here though, because there is exactly the tribe. I didn't maybe think about it because I have some baggage around the tribes, but if you look at Neo Ixion, that's a pretty successful tribe. A really centralized model around a cult of personality, cool dude and stuff. But it's kind of his little onboarding bank club, and that's fine. That's what token. I mean, in a certain sense, it's not all that different than Lassie Cash, except nobody wants to be Lassie Cash's friend, and everybody wants to be Neo Ixion's friend. So it's if you pick the tribe that doesn't have a very good setup and you lose money, well, it probably wasn't a scam. But there's shared blame, of course, for the creator. I agree with that. There's some responsibility if you make a token that you're going to try to number go up. I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to tell what you're supposed to try to do, but I think you're supposed to try to say what you're gonna do and then do what you said you were gonna do. I think that's true. So we do make these tokens and we experiment. At the same time, failure or success brings lessons. Maybe failure brings more lessons than success in many cases. And they bring lessons on many levels. I was thinking recently about utopian. For those old people in the room, utopian. And I think that utopian failed because of management, not because of a model. I think integrating upvotes into open source development is probably a great idea. Do I think you can get a $100,000 a year salary for you and your team with upvotes? No, I think that's terrible management. So I think that we need to make sure we learn the right lessons for some of the failures that we've seen. And we also need to be sure, while it's not all of our fault for buying shitty tokens, we need to make sure that we're balancing the realities with the creator that we invested in because we trusted them and what they did to lose money or gain money, right? I mean, maybe the gaining of the money could be luck, and maybe the losing of the money could be bad management or bad decisions or bad timing or bad anything. I mean, we need to make sure we're learning the right lessons, even and maybe especially from failures. I'm pouring another cup of coffee, guys. Hey, also, I see a lot of people in the room, guys. Welcome. I don't know that I can commit to a time zone, but I'm bringing the band back together. This is Deep Web3 Secrets. Ooh, we got a chatter in the chat here. I think I know this guy, but he has so many different names that my suspicion is that I'm going to find out I know this guy already. Anti-socialist, always listening to me. BS. Okay, but expound on that. There's a good idea in there still, I think. They were shitty managers. That's my opinion. Expand on your opinion, though. Tell me everything. I want to hear it. I really want to hear it because I want all of us to remember the right lessons from these experiences. Oh, yeah. People are typing now. Oh, yeah. Deep Web3 Secrets. The only thing about being a radio man is I like to, yeah, totally, man. I like to drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. So I need a straight man. I can't, I could, but eventually I get the desire to like breathe and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. So I need a straight man. And Qasim, you've been such a good straight man today. I really appreciate it. I see you're typing now. Anybody else want to step up, just be a straight man for a little bit? Tell me about your project. Tell me about anything we've talked about today. Ask me any questions. My mouth is getting dry. I need some coffee. Somebody unmute their microphone. Okay, I tried. Thank you, Hive Trending, for your ping. We'll play with the time zones. Thank you, man. I love you. And you know what we're doing. We'll do that by Monday. We'll get that set up, all right? And it'll be all your fault, Mr. Pizza. I don't want any credit for that. That was beautiful, brilliant idea you did. Okay. What else we got? Gangs, benefit gangs, gang leaders. Yeah, I mean, again, guys, maybe I'm just an optimist, but I really and truly believe there was a good idea inside of Utopian and maybe the other projects on Hive that have failed. There is a good idea because the open source model is broken, and I'm working on it this year. Since we're speaking about it, has anybody noticed that I'm building free tools, but I'm making people pay me $1 to suggest them? Anybody? There's magic here, guys. Anybody listening?
I can answer when you ask particular questions. I can go on and on, talk about it.
I love it. I love it. You're establishing your requirements as a straight man is great. And I'm getting practice with this push to talk. I got it lock and load. So I get if I lock it, then I'm talking, and then I unlock it and you're talking. Okay, so what is the question to ask you? How can we how can we knowing that we're a community of different people that value different types of metrics for onboarding, that some people want threaders and some people want degens and some people want a 100,000 hive power in the first month. Um, what can we decide as a protocol? What are the places of agreement where we could narrow that Turing test down between different communities with different values, Qasim?
Of course, everyone joins Hive for different reasons. Like when I first joined, I only knew about Splinterlands. I only knew about SplinterTalk.io. I did not even knew there is something called Hive.blog. And there are other people who are into BSwap, buying it as a DeFi sector. And there are other people making content. And I have some friends who I onboarded and they only stake HBD because they like storing dollar and earning on dollar being safe. So, because when we onboard someone, not everybody is coming for the same reasons to Hive. This is why we cannot expect every user to be same. Like previously, I was onboarding people who can blog. Then there was a time when I started focusing on people who like to store their HBDs, and at one point I started when Essency launched Waves. It was the time when I focused to onboard re-invite people who left Hive because blogging was hard. So I invited them to use Waves as microblogging. Since everybody is coming for different reasons and there are different types of users, we cannot expect everybody to fit in. Like one shoe can't fit all, in simple terms. This is why we can't have like our expectations, same expectations from every user.
Fantastic. Okay, we got some chatting. Solo miners in the house, but he can't voice chat right now. And tokenized society brings me back to my beautiful childhood in college. Creed Bratton, you have more fun as a cult follower, but you make more money as a leader. Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's so true. And that's the beautiful thing. We can all put on our own shows and we can all go to different shows on different levels. You know, I've been a shill for a number of different projects, and it got to a point where for those projects, I would make sure to put shill in my name in the Discord, so people understood that I don't run this project. I'm just a shill. But in my projects, of course, I have a lot more control. I'm not a shill. I'm project manager, whatever it is. I'm a community manager for the Hive SBI community, so I have a deeper relationship. Although I have no control, it's a deeper role than shill. Um, but it's important to know that we're playing a game. And we're playing many games at the same time on multiple levels and multiple layers. And ours is not the only vernal pool in the ecosystem, because AVAX is playing a game and a bunch of games, and Soul is playing a bunch of games. And some of these games are even called games, like Axie and Splinterlands and D-City. But some of the games are called arbitrage or DeFi or liquidity pools. And so there's a whole bunch of layered protocol level games on top of games and mini games inside those games. And we need to try to understand anybody can pick up the mic. Yes, anti-socialist. And guess what? It might have been you that said it that made me pick up the mic, because anybody can, but Will anybody do it? Eco's here, guys. Deep Web3 secrets. I'm channeling my inner Robin Williams here. See, nobody picked up the mic in that 7 seconds of pregnant pause, anti-socialist. So this brings me into an issue. We've kind of talked about it before, but we are rebels. So that's really nice, right? That's a nice way to look at it. I'm going to say it another way so you guys steal your skin, okay? Because I'm going to tell you the honest truth. We are autists. We don't work very well together. We're not social creatures for the most part. And we're very different. And every once in a while we try to onboard normies, and it doesn't go very well because we're a bunch of autists. And we don't talk very well to each other. We don't have very good ways of communicating, and we need to be better. And so when anti-socialist who doesn't want to pick up the mic says anybody can pick up the mic, I feel him, because 7 years ago, I think I clicked on a link and he sent me a book about how autonomous societies on a foreign planet work or something like that. I'm pretty sure I remember it was on the archive.org. And I read that book 7 years ago, and I think this is the same guy who's not picking up the mic but wishes somebody, a leader, would step up and pick up the mic. Now, let me just tell the people that are here in our 7th episode of Deep Web3 Secrets. That's right. I planted this seed years ago, and we have 4 episodes on YouTube. I've got 2 in the bag, and this is the 7th episode. And I did read a book, man. I read one of those books 7 years ago on Steam. And here I am today picking up the mic because it's time. I can't be your leader, but what I can do is be Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. I can be your cheerleader. I was a cheerleader at my university. I did it so I could be the mascot, and I was the mascot. I can be the mascot, guys, and you're all welcome to pick up the mic at any time, but I'm going to be that mascot, and I'm going to yell at whoever these autistic leaders we think we have are until we all at least come to the table and discuss about to be a king. That must be a book, because it sounds like a terrible idea. To be a king. No, I would rather not be a king. It sounds awful. I would rather be a mountain hermit who speaks into his microphone and motivates and activates the people in the world to do the good things in this moment. Qasim, what do you think about decentralized leadership?
It's kind of funny, like even decentralized leadership has more flaws. Kind of like sometimes I wonder if this decentralization, at least in management and leadership, is a good thing.
I love that question. Let me jump in there. You've motivated me already. What did you talk for, like 3 seconds? So this is so important. First of all, developers are not managers. Can we all agree on that? Developers are not naturally managers. It doesn't mean they can't pick it up. Doesn't mean they can't learn the skill. And it doesn't mean that a manager, somebody with manager skills, can learn how to code. They can. But developers and managers are different skill sets. Does everybody agree? Do it, man. Talk to us. Talk to us about management. You got a team. You're putting together a team of huevones, right? But when you put them together, they can play football. So tell me about it, Taradraz.
I was asking you, we need managers as leaders in HIVE. I guess we were talking about the top witnesses and the leaders of HIVE, basically.
One of the biggest questions that I'm asked when I go and represent HIVE at a convention is, oh, so you're the CEO or what? And HIVE doesn't have a CEO. But I created HIVE Colombia with the help of others and encouragement. It's an idea. And an idea could be a company, and an idea or a company could have a CEO. So I can be the CEO of Hive Columbia, but I can't be the CEO of Hive. And the same thing is true about leadership. Anyone can be a leader, but Block Trades is a leader of Block Trades, and Deathwing is a leader of Deathwing, and BitBank is a leader of whatever the heck his BitBank is. And all of these people are leaders in their own thing. I'm a leader of Echo Bank, right? So Vaultec, I see him. I'm looking at the golden people with the golden rolls. Mahidyari is a leader of half. He can speak with authority about half, but how much authority can he speak with about Hive? When I was in Bogota, and hopefully I will soon be in Medellin doing something very similar, I spoke with authority about Hive. And sometimes I worried about it, but I'm not too worried about it. Many good things happened because I did speak with authority about nuestra cadena, our blockchain, right? So you have to be careful about your words, but we need to define authority because, frankly, there's 100 pieces and we're all leaders of our own piece. And maybe that could be or should be 1,000 leaders of their own pieces. But if we lead our own piece and we collaborate synergistically with all the other pieces, frankly, there's nothing that can stop us. Why are we always so in the dumps and dumping and terrible, and why doesn't anybody know? Because we don't synergistically nothing. Nobody ever talks about it. They all want to build their own future tech and they think it's a zero-sum game, that they're fighting over the same HBDs. And no, this guy shouldn't get the HBDs. I should get the HBDs. Nobody should get the HBDs. When they don't understand, they're freaking magic HBDs. Why don't we just make sure we give them to the people that are adding value and we establish metrics at what that value is? It doesn't have to be hard. We're pooping money here, guys. But if we just fight about the money printer, then we got a problem. What do you think about money printing with the DHF, Qasim?
This is a very sensitive topic because, first of all, because of value plan and then Splinterland's funding and then Leo funding, it's kind of like a sensitive topic. But personally, I think if you think from Steemit perspective, everyone learns from their mistakes. What I collected information was after High fogged, Steemit did not use any of the decentralize their funds. Like they don't use these type of funding. Of course, their development is not happening. That's another thing. But it provides less selling pressure. We are talking about building boreholes in Ghana, Venezuela, doing sports cars. Of course, it's generating a lot of sell pressure. Are there enough buyers? Like there should be because a lot of people are selling no matter either they are going growing trees or they are making boreholes. That's a different story. But is there a buying pressure? And whenever we talk about decentralized hive funds, I always try to say that if someone is getting funded, it should have a business model. They should have revenue sources. Like if PD is getting funded, of course, they always or most of the times get proposal fundings. Like they say that they don't make money from the ads or they're testing ads, blah, blah, blah. But when you're getting money, it's kind of like your job to get listed on Google search results. It's not just our blogs are bad, that we are not getting ranked on Google search and we are not getting clicks and ad revenue. Maybe the platform should also hold some responsibility about it and think they should generate enough revenue for themselves and also for Hive decentralized funds for the users for burning, for providing buying pressure. Same responsibility goes to hive.blog, essency.com. I'm not just saying
Yes.
advertisement is the only way. Maybe they can invest in some kind of DeFi to generate sources. I don't know.
Hey,
Like
let me
they
jump
can.
in here. So good. Wow, Qasim, you're a great straight man. Okay, so first of all, the idea that they should have a business plan is such a revolutionary idea for the 19th century. And you know what? We are not silly to demand that they use 200-year-old technology of a business plan when they propose Hive decentralized funds. I like that a lot. Okay, second, advertising is dead. It's fake. It's not real. We should. This is my opinion now. Now we enter the realm of opinion. Eco doesn't believe that ads are real, they'll never work, and it's a broken model. And when that thing collapses, the ad model, watch out. But we shouldn't actually have to watch out so much because we have some of the decentralized solutions. Now, third point. This is the thing. I need you all to listen to me, guys. SEO, the way we've been looking at it, is backwards. It's broken, and I fixed it, and I want to show everybody. And I'm having trouble explaining that I fixed it because most people say to me then, well, I don't believe in SEO. Well, the reason that you don't believe in SEO is because you were thinking about it backwards, and using your backwards thinking, you decided it was no good. And you were right. It was no good. It was broken and ass backwards, or however technically it was. We have a way, and we're testing it. The first 30 days we got promising preliminary data. Now we have 12 domains. One is a client who's never used Hive before. A couple are underutilized Hive blogs, and a couple are serious. So we're going to have more data by March. But if anybody is trying to rank an actual website that isn't a Hive front end, then no, man, I don't hear you. Probably because I'm talking. Oh, your mic is muted. I'll be done talking soon. If anybody's trying to rank a website that isn't a Hive front end, reach out to me because I could use your help in our preliminary testing. We're already getting good results. We have a magic power here with the Hive blockchain. Good. I'm muted. Yes, perfect. And so, Qasim, if a guy figured out a secret of how to use the Hive blockchain, what do you think he should do? Who should he tell? How would he let the world know that they're doing it backwards?
I would say talk to AI bots to refine your ideas. The best thing was to because you have an idea, you have a solution, you're having problem communicating with humans. So what you can do is
Yes.
you can actually try to explain your ideas to ChatGTP, DeepSeek, or any OpenAI model, and they might help you break it down your ideas. Because last time when you were having same discussion in Pimp Discord live show, I mentioned my same exact question. Do you know the technical terms of what you're saying? I mentioned bucketing technique. I asked if you're using bucketing technique or if there are other technical terms that you can use to help me understand because I know SEO. So at the moment, you did not knew any technical
Yes.
terms related to what you were trying to do. So talk to AI bots, refine your ideas, use some technical terminologies, also use some text which says, explain me this like I am 10, and also add this and come up with a well
Yes.
documented presentation and explain your idea to the world.
One of my favorite phrases is explain it to me like I'm a kinder. And I find that universally people understand this German word kinder. Kinder means a youngling or something like that, a child. We tend in English to pick a number, like I'm 5 or like I'm 10. But I find that universally across cultures, if I say, tell me like I'm a kinder, they really, really do the right thing. They respond to me in the right way. And I do remember now seeing you talking about bucketing, and we were all talking about 7 different things in that moment. And so I didn't, but I did make a mental note. And now that you bring it up again, I'm going to ask my friend Claude about that. And then I'm going to tell him what I'm doing. And he's going to help me tell you. And then we're going to work on the idea because you know about this stuff. Do you guys, anybody use Claude? You know about Claude? I like Claude. He's a good guy. He helped me organize the ideas for the like 6 months of paperwork I had done in research, and an hour and 20 minutes with Claude, and I had the Circular Protein Project executive summary put together. These tools are good for some things, guys. Really good. But they're not creative. You need a human to operate the levers. Very important. Tokenized Society says, as a startup founder, I can tell that getting funding early on is one of the biggest challenges there is. I find it sad we don't have a line of good projects fighting for DHF funding. Not saying we should go around giving money to just about anyone. Not at all. But I would love to see HIVE at a point where we have so many legit projects deserving of funding that the return proposal is not even needed anymore. I'm Qasim, and this is your Tokenized Society.
Similarly, like he said, a lot of people support HBD stabilizer. Some people don't like it. They say it's a way to take money from authors' reward pool to developers, stealing authors' money to developers. There are a lot of controversies relating to HBD stabilizer. But HBD stabilizer also helps in reducing hive inflation. This is a fact because when you use market's internal conversion system that takes around 3 to 3.5 or 3 days and uses medium price of those 3 days to convert, it actually charges a small fee of 5% and it burns that money. So either you are converting HBD to hive or hive to HBD, you are burning a little sum of money along the way. And if you check the stats, HBD stabilizer is one of the proposals that is getting funded, generating more money, and also reducing hive inflation.
Great
But
example.
some
Hold on. Great example. I have just posted in the chat our stats. We are currently spending the astronomical sum of $15,339 Hive dollars per day. And that is of a budget of $232,556 Hive dollars per day. We are activating 6% of our possible funding. And the biggest problem, and I do want to continue to dig into the things that we are paying for, because mostly people don't. They say general stuff like, oh, that stuff that we're funding, a lot of garbage. But if you dig in one by one, it would really be a lot more helpful because the things that people think are garbage are not the same ones that other people think are garbage. So that would help, I think, our discussion. But we should know that we are activating. Let me pull up my calculator. My calculator says that 15,339 HBD out of 232,556 HBD, we are activating 6.5 or 6.6% of our daily budget. And the problem to me is not that some people are getting money for something, but that where the hell are the 100 other proposals that are fighting for this money? We have so much money to give out to do these things. Is it the case that the people who are left feel so demoralized? And if that's the case, whose fault is that? Maybe there's some shared blame here from, one, the demoralizers, but also, two, why are these leaders not more resilient? Why are they not passing more proposals even if they fail? Why are they not continuing to insist on their ideas? These are all questions that we should be answering. Qasim, do you have any thoughts?
My mind is still stuck about HBD stabilizer thing
Mm.
because Ahmed Manga was asking about how HBD stabilizer works.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, I was saying that there are some controversies around HBD stabilizer. We get the idea that it takes money from decentralized high funds, it buys low, sells high, keeps price at $1 of HBD, and it gives more money back to decentralized high funds, also contributes to deflation of hive. All of this is good, but the controversy starts when there are whales committing HBD stabilizer comments every day because, like, if you go to account, it's not main account of HBD stabilizer, it's managed by a different person that sends money to HBD stabilizer account. So there are on-chain comments getting posted, I don't know, per hour,
Are we
15
talking
minutes,
about?
I don't know.
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you, but just to be specific, are we talking about smooth?
yeah, smooth. So the controversy starts like everything is good. Till now, I have said that I think this is the best project, best proposal at least from the money generation perspective. But then there are comments on chain, and it is getting voted by whales, and it is taking authors' money to decentralize high funds. That's where people start questioning that because when you give more to a proposal, your authors are getting less because it's a shared resources of authors reward pool is a shared resource. When developers or decentralized high funds is getting more money, legit authors are getting less. Similar thing happened in Push campaign when Push was doing comments, OCD was voting it, and blah blah blah. There are a lot of times when people comment on the chain, and then whales vote it, and then they get their proposal fundings. We get the idea to some level, like some level meaning that there are some projects who are making posts and their posts get upvoted and this is their bread and butter to run the project. But then now we are comparing it with when HBD stabilizer, there are comments on chain and it gets voted and everything is good, output is good, but in return authors are getting less. Similarly, we see the marky mark burn post, everything is good. It is providing deflation while keeping marquee stake and curation rewards for himself and not giving inflation to anybody. So he's doing a lot for the deflation. But when anybody is doing that, burn post or block trades, voting burn post or HBD stabilizer, authors are getting less for development or whatever reason. Reason can be anything, but the output is author reward pool is shrinking and shrinking.
Mm. Fantastic line of talking. Give me 2 seconds here. Wow, I almost got to eat breakfast during that one. Fantastic. Because everything is indeed a trade off. And since we began this experiment in the Steemit days, we've been arguing about the destination of that reward pool. And I will remind everyone present that there is another reward pool that has existed that long, and it's the node runners, the witnesses, the witnesses that validate the transactions and keep, to a certain extent, the blockchain running. Also has one of the longest running or origin reward pools on the chain. And witnesses also made posts and they voted each other for being witnesses. And this was the first discussion about, hey, wait a second, are you double dipping? Is that post worth money? So you guys might remember in 2017, the witnesses were taking selfies of their walks with their dog because this was somehow more valuable than a post about the technical deliveries of their witness. We've been having these conversations for a really long time. The chain allows us to do this. It allows someone with Marky's stake to send it to null and keep his curation rewards. It allows somebody like Block Trades to send it to HBD Stabilizer, even though Smooth is not a very good author. He is doing something that somebody thinks is valuable, and so he's providing value to it. I wonder, in the case of HBD Stabilizer, if it is indeed the final nail in the coffin of the question of what is quality content. Because the content of Smooth is no content at all. It's a market operation. It's a buy and a sell. That's not content in the traditional sense at all. But somebody finds that valuable and he's able to vote it in a way that makes it seem like we're taking money from authors to pay a market operator. Because that's what we're doing. And everybody's doing it in a way that votes their stake. I wonder if I did it, or anybody who maybe already has a foul stench about them, were to make comments and post and with a big old stake that sent those monies to ourselves for reasons that we think are valuable, right? Like planting a tree in the Andes Mountains. Every day I'll vote 10 comments to plant a tree in the Andes Mountains. Won't it be beautiful? Because I think it's beautiful. I wonder how Marky would feel about that. Or I wonder how Block Trades would feel about that. Because my planting a tree and Smooth's market operations, both of them are not content. And you can argue about the quality or value of either one of them. But it's important that we ask the questions about what we're talking about before we put the emotion into it. We talk about what's happening because Smooth is that's the right word, his name. Look at his account. He writes comments every once in a while, mostly snarky. He's probably an autist like the rest of us. Smart guy, one of the original Steam It witnesses. You know, for all I know, this guy's CIA. I don't know what it's up with Smooth, but he's certainly clever and seems to be helping the chain with his thing. I won't argue that. It seems to be doing good work. The question is, does he deserve author rewards for that work as well? I don't know. I love what you guys are talking about. So we've got a couple of bot unclaimed rewards. Holy cow. This guy hasn't claimed in a year. Oh my gosh. Thank you for posting that. That tells us
This
something.
is not the account he uses for comments. It's a different account. I can't recall it, but it's a different account that is used for comments. But I want to talk about, I was talking about buying pressure and deflation. Remember that I was talking about burning, deflation, and buying pressure for Hive
Yeah.
when we are having this value plan, these car races, and these boreholes. Is there enough buying pressure? So, what I actually believe is without inflation, just from the profits, we can actually burn a lot of Hive if someone writes a good proposal about it, it gets funded. So, what I believe is, you know,
Hello, I think we lost you, buddy. But just come back in whenever you're ready. And I love you burn
back.
heads, you flame heads. I love you guys. I personally think burning is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you burn money? That doesn't bring any value. But I love that you guys love it, you know? And I'd love a chance to not vote on that proposal. Or I'd love a chance to tell you I'd give you my vote if you did something good with the money instead of burning it. And that's the way we should talk about these types of things. Now, tell me, as a fierce skeptic of burning, why it's a good idea.
I was talking about just making a better grid bot that buys low, sells high, works on layer 1 and works on yeah, I think layer 1 would be enough, no need for layer 2. So a bot that buys Hive and sells HBD and vice versa while making money, an automated bot funded by decentralized Hive funds, because then we would know that after every 1 cent there is enough buying pressure. When there is a value plan selling and these Leo Finance, Sprinterlands, all these teams and Three Speak team also gets a lot of
Baby,
funding
I want some
and the
coffee.
VSC. So when all of these are
This is the
dumping
real
tokens
recipe.
because they have to pay for servers, they have to
I got this for
build
China.
Ghana boreholes or whatever anyone wants to do, buy
Yes,
diesel
but
for the car. The thing is there enough buying
it's recording.
pressure? So how would that pressure be generated when we are actually discuss about ad revenue? You said it's a dead thing in today's world.
Well, hold on. Let
As
me
com-
let me jump in there. Let me just jump in there. I believe the advertising model is based on fraud. I believe that Google is probably going to go under if that fraud was ever exposed. I believe that there's a lot of fraud and they continually fight the fraud and they say it's an arms race. But I think they're losing the fraud war so completely that 90% of it is fraud. And the reason that Peak D is not having success with ads is because it's fraudulent system and you need Chinese bot farms to make any money with ads. And that's a whole nother business that doesn't have to do with adding value. I think there are ways to do advertising that works, but that means that Peak D needs to sell banners to people like me who have a business that wants to advertise to Hive users. Peak D doesn't need to go to AdSense to find crypto scams to advertise in their banners. They need to go to their local community and do a local bulletin board. So the model's broken. That's all I'm saying. Not that actually there's no right way to do it. Just that you see it's failing in real time because the model is broken. And we're not going to hire Chinese bot farms. We're not those type of people.
so I was just saying if there is a grid bot that buys low, sells high, and generates enough money for itself to be sustainable, we can be less worried about a lot of inflation because that bot gets feeded. It could be decentralized, it could have multi-sig, and it's just a basics grid bot working on all the hive ranges. So we will know that money is equally distributed on all hive ranges, equally distributed. And from the profits, we would know that there is more buy pressure on this position, and there is this number, like there is, let's say that there is $10 buy pressure, like $10,000 buy pressure on 30 cents, and there is $10,000 pressure on 29 cents.
Okay. I love this idea. I like grid bots, but right here today, hold on the hive. Hold on the hive. I'm introducing you. I'm introducing you. Okay, right now you are all listening to my podcast, Deep Web 3 Secrets, and we have an eminence. His eminence, so eminent they named the chain after him, and I'm gonna bring him on here in a second. The Hive. This guy has been talking. He's been talking. He has not shut up for 7, 8 years. And I would like to bring him on to talk about the things that we're now talking about. Fill us in, the Hive, Your Eminence.
You just ruined my own self intro. I was going to say, can I take you to church? But what you said is a hell of a lot better than what I was going to say. Yeah, Hive is doomed. It's kind of like Qasim was saying and yourself saying. I think everybody will agree. And Adam Ahmad Manga just said in the chat, long term, if you look logically at the Hive blockchain, logically, the price of Hive is continuously going to start going down now. Because even in the future, those people like shown there hasn't cashed out yet. One day he may need that money and it's worth his while to cash out his amount when it's even a penny. And that pushes yours way down even lower. So yeah, downward pressure is the only thing that's there on Hive. What Eco was saying about the advertisements and stuff, I agree with perfectly. It's scammy, yeah. But I don't think advertisements or anything like that is the solution. I think the solution has to come from, if Hive is the fertile ground, that's where the roots need to start growing. And there is no root growing in the Hive blockchain. So anything that grows from the Hive blockchain grows out of the Hive blockchain. And the fruits that whatever grows out, the fruits or the flowers of the plant that grow, that falls back to the earth and then it revitalizes the earth. And that's the kind of ecosystem you want to create. To do that, you have to take Hive from the Hive blockchain, move it into fiat, do something in fiat solid like a property. Property then can bring back an income, and every month you have now generated X amount of funding to buy the Hive token. That guarantees there will always be a micro value for the Hive token because there will always be an industry wanting to buy it. Does that make sense to everybody?
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Always made sense.
I made.
Always will make sense.
I made it back just in time. I was yelling, but you guys couldn't hear me. Oh man, I love every time the Hive talks, and I recorded it this time, so it's gonna be good, guys. I want to take this opportunity to just tell you all that I'm in the process of picking a time zone, a time. So the next couple weeks, these episodes will be rando times. You know, just pay attention to the pings I'll do here. Hive Trending taught me that this morning, and so look at the people we got. You know, we're very excited. We're Hive people. We're ready to work together, and so I think that's really good. Qasim, bring us back. Tie me back in. I just got here. What did the Hive say?
He said about connection of Hive economy with the real world economy, generating real income, real products, revenue. I would say real world revenue and tie it back to the blockchain. Similar to, I think you done your farms or hotel, you had some property and your some real life projects. He says that when we generate real life income with real life products and we are buying Hive with that real revenue, then we can make sure there is enough buying pressure because we were discussing about buying pressure.
I love it. And one of the things I love about the Hive is I appreciate you mentioning my EcoBank, but the Hive also has its own project with solar panels and a coffee shop. And I wonder if he would just give us the 5-minute version or the 3-minute version. How's that going? What lessons have you learned being the bridge, building the bridge yourself, the Hive?
Oh, well, everything I've done in the past 7 years, I came into the blockchain, played poker. Well, basically to try and get Bitcoin. I was playing poker and I was getting little bits of Bitcoin. And every month I was cashing out $100. Now I've had to kept that. But money was needed back then and that was easy money. Sit around, play a bit of poker, get a bit of that. Then all the bots came to the poker site. Couldn't win it. So I've done Google search and the Steam blockchain came up. I got in there and I seen this thing giving away the free money, not to playing poker. So my mind snapped back another 30 years to when I was in Manchester and everything just fit together. This is the shit I was thinking way back then, and the tools just were not there. And the blockchain provided all these tools.
I
So I
love
ended up
that.
with,
Oh,
it took a while.
can I
It did
jump
take
in?
a while. Just 1 second, yeah. It took a while to get a penny. But once I started earning a penny on a post, you couldn't stop me. My mind was made up this would work. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you didn't let me interrupt too much there. That was such a powerful point. I sometimes feel like I should interrupt though, because that's what a good interlocutor does, just to make sure the audience can keep up with all the great points that we're making. So I really believe in something you just said triggered it. So I want to say this, and then I'll share some images in the chat. Deep Web3 secrets. Okay, Ed's in the room. I'm gonna get Ed on here in a second, but let's talk about this. First of all, anybody who thinks my idea, his idea, your idea, or anything about intellectual property, in my opinion, doesn't know how ideas work. Because ideas are vibrational, and we just heard the Hive talk about that he had this idea. We don't even need to understand exactly what that was, but he had the idea before there was a blockchain. And whatever that idea was triggered in him, right, with an inflationary currency based on the content he was posting. And I think whatever was triggered in him triggered in a lot of people for different reasons, but it's because of morphic resonance or the vibrational power of ideas. And it's not easy to compete. That's the other thing. We are lazy humans in many ways. So when it's sleepy time and just run the node time, we don't wake up. But open source development happens in activation. We activate in a moment and we build something and then we all go on our own ways. We all go on our own ways until something breaks and we have to come together again. That's just how it works. It's not about blockchain, right? A lot of this stuff is not about blockchain. And in my recent conversations, it's been a lot about open source. But I love that the Hive had a vibrational experience with value creation way before blockchain. That's so powerful. Okay, the Hive. So from your first post, the first penny on the post, they couldn't stop you. Bring us up. Wrap it up here to today. I mean, how are you connecting real life value to the blockchain today?
It was, well, to create that value, I built up the asset over a period of time, trying different things. During that time, I tested out proof of concept. That seemed to work online, but I was doing that between my own accounts and a couple of friends. I think you got involved there with the Huckleberry token. But that was very small, and it was only to test theory, but it worked. Everybody that gave me one hive got back 105 hive. Everybody made profit. And the account still grew a little bit, so the account made a profit too. So if everybody's making a profit, prove a concept 100% it works, no matter what that tiny percentage is at the top. But everybody else made 5%. So I took that a little bit further, but I still didn't have enough stake. I got enough stake, I powered down, I took the money out, and I invested into a coffee machine in the local corner shop. Now, the owner of the shop, or the guy who rents the shop, he could foresee, yeah, this coffee shop machine's not going to well in here, but yeah, I'd give the guy a chance. And he did. And he said, I'll just give you €50 a week, because there's no way we're going to measure what we sell in coffee. And just as well, because the kids use it to make bloody pot noodles instead of adult coffee. So things have gone on, and he has given me €50 a week until he gave me back 1,500. At 1,450, I said to him, okay, listen, we've kind of reached my target. I've seen what I want. If you give me an extra 50, that's my extra little bit for my investment fee. That's grand. I've seen my proof of concept work. as a little bonus, if you give me an additional 1,550 a week up until that's done, I'll work something out in the crypto thing where I'm just constantly making a few quid every week for it. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go along with that. I trust you. And now he's giving me 50 quid a week up until the first week in May. From taking that money out, I have created an additional 1,500 coming back into the blockchain.
Fantastic, man. And so, you know, the tech bros are going to say, how can we scale it? Let's do 100. Let's do 1,000. But what I want to emphasize here is that you used what was in your local community. You used a relationship with a local business. You've created a happy user who, as far as I understand, still doesn't really understand Hive or doesn't need to. And you have created value into the universe that wasn't there before. Am I right?
That's basically true. Now, he doesn't have a clue about Hive, but he does understand crypto. He has Chronos and a few other tokens as well. Hive isn't his first crypto. If it was, I doubt he would agree 50 a week. But he does understand crypto, Bitcoin, and the price going.
Number go up. Okay, so exactly we can onboard people who have no knowledge or people who, you know, are in the number go up type knowledge about crypto. I of course have a number in my local community. Honestly, I've had about equal results with somebody who doesn't know anything and somebody who, yeah, well, I get you. Hold on a second. I've had equal results with onboarding normies and onboarding number go up guys who hold some bags on Binance. Just my own anecdotes. It's about the same ratio of conversion, as long as it's more about, to me, if I can get into what they're trying to do to explain how I could help them with this tool. Yeah, man, go tell me more of the Hive.
Well, I know you want to jump on to Ed as well and hear Ed. I like listening to
Ed will wait. Ed will come on when it's Ed's turn.
But just shorthand, just to add on to that property thing, you're talking about the people using it. Now, if say you got a 3-bedroom property, right? Over here in Ireland, that's kind of like 2 good-sized rooms and a baby-sized room. But you've also got a downstairs living room and a big kitchen area, and everybody shares the bathroom. Now, you could turn that downstairs room, living room, into another bedroom. So now you've got basically 4 bedrooms or 3.5 bedrooms in a house. Now, if you let that out to students, that's 4 people that you can create a Hive account for, and you can give them all a rebate on their rent with Hive or HBD, and you back pocket Hive into people's phones, so to speak. Instead of inviting them in, you say you already have this account. It's up to you if you use the money or not. And if one of them uses that account, yeah, and they can get through us, because we would have to have a local interaction somewhere. If we had that through us, that would be the property. So they can spend that, get it off their rent, or if they wanted cash, the property landlord can turn around, yeah, here's your $10, blah, 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 that's nothing. So they can turn that into cash or whatever they want. They're going to tell their bloody friends in college. I mean, how do you think PayPal started? I mean, we're not doing anything new. We're copying what already worked. So I'll just leave it at that. And
Yo, you're killing it, the Hive. You are killing it with that, and I want to make some comments on that. First of all, I will mention the similarities, at least in structure, to the concept with what Distriator is doing. And so we don't need to talk about that right now because there's a lot to talk about. But what you are explaining, it's an example, and I love examples, but I also love to then try to abstract from the example. And so what you've created is something that I suspected 4 years ago and said is that not everybody needs an account, or at least not everybody needs to make their own account. Qasim, thank you so much. It was really great, and I appreciate you, and I will lean on you in the future because you did a great job. No, yeah, thank you for hanging out. And so what you've described is a business, a landlord, who has created accounts for his people and given them the option to use it in a certain way or not to get money back. And it really fits into what I was trying to describe those many years ago with proxy accounts. People can manage the level of their having an account, right? And so different people have developed different solutions, like light accounts. I think Leo has some sort of light accounts. I recommended a few different things. I launched a beta protocol called Dreamer, and I felt hurt and betrayed because everyone that I had told about it, when I launched the protocol and it was live and anyone could use it, no one used it. No one showed up. It was in the bear market, obviously, because we spend 80% of our time in bear markets in this world. So I felt hurt and betrayed because no one showed up for what I thought was the solution to the problem they were saying they were all having. But what did I do with that hurt? It is the case that we don't know what we want. And so if you think you're going to do what people say they want, you may find out that they didn't really want that, or they didn't know what they were asking about. So it's a very interesting thing. And so I want to move it along, but don't sleep on this idea, guys. We need to be businesses. Our onboarding, and every business, like every person, is unique and special and creative. But we need to be a business, and our customers are our onboards. Our clients are our onboards. And over time, they'll learn what they need to learn at the level they want and need to learn it as it matters to them. And it may not matter to most of them, right? As you onboard people into a email funnel, you don't expect 100% to get to the end of the funnel. You never expect that. All you're doing is trying to simplify the funnel, get it better conversion rate, improve the funnel, shorten the funnel, widen the rim, whatever. All the funnel analogies, we can do that. But we need to build a funnel, guys. And so that's what this business is about. Whether it is a landlord or a coffee shop or a threading challenge for degen crypto investors, whatever the plan is, everybody needs to be building their funnel, and some parts of this funnel we can share with each other. We can share the value we're adding to people when they join Hive in different ways. And probably the guy that's most going to know what value his onboard needs, his client needs, is the local guy that's onboarding him. Right? So the Hive knows about the coffee shop owner. He knows about crypto. He likes money. He sells coffee. Boom, boom, boom. Right? It's not a question of Hive. And I had this conversation with Mira Fun as well recently. A lot of people had asked, but I just ended up talking to Mira about it. The crazy GM, I mean, there's no Hive in it. Maybe if you branded your Hive tools as a Hive site. And I said, wait a second, the last website you built, where does it say JavaScript? Nobody's building HiveJavascript.com to make a game. Nobody talks about their infrastructure in their brand. It's not expected. We're weird that we do it. Hive is an infrastructure, very powerful freedom tool, and there's protocols in Hive that I like more than others. And there's this guy I keep seeing. I mean, he's a golden guy now. What is this info point? I don't know what that even means, but he's a golden info point guy. Vaultec, building VSC. I only bring it up because I see him right here ranked highly in the Hive Discord. He's building VSC, right? So what is that? It's a protocol inside the blocks. It will not replace any other protocol. It will not replace PodPing. It will not replace magnet banks. It won't even replace Hive Engine. it may be the case that more people choose to use that protocol for certain things than other protocols. But it's unlikely that it's going to do what Podping does, so probably won't replace Podping. Some of the stuff Hive Engine we try to do right now with Hive Engine probably will one day go to VSC if they build when they build it, and after extensive testing, because the way they're building it is risky if you don't get decentralized systems. The biggest risk is the witnesses. So we're going to need decentralized nodes in different parts of the world and different beliefs for VSC to ever work, and that takes time. Build a hub. VSC is a good example of a hub. So they need to build a hub, and we can participate in that. But, right, we are the businesses, us, the rebels, the individuals, we are the hubs. And now what we need to focus on in Hive, to me, is the roads. We need to build roads between ourselves to share the best practices, make sure we're learning the right lessons from failure and success, but especially from the failures, because not every dollar you ever lost was a scam. You may have made a bad decision. It may not have been a scam. You just might have been ignorant or dumb or foolish. And so there's shared experience between project managers and bag holders. Okay, we got AlohaEd in the house, and I want to say hi to this guy. AlohaEd, if you don't know, is the president of Hawaii, and they made him president of Hawaii because he moved away from Hawaii, but he was the president of Hawaii at one time because he has such a beautiful radio voice, and I think he got like 200,000 people to sign up for some petition, and they made him the president of Hawaii. Ed, are you available? Are you? Yeah, here we go.
So, well, I was not the president of Hawaii. My wife is actually Hawaiian, and her family was elevated to royalty when one of her great ancestors, so the first king of Hawaii was this fellow called King Kamehameha, who is this figure out of legend, just a huge, monstrous man, and he fought these battles were fought with clubs and rocks. But in any event, one of his captains was on the island of Maui fighting against Kamehameha's uncle. And one of his captains was down. And he was going to have his throat slit by a sharp tooth knife. And my wife's great ancestor was called the Pahia, and he was known for his ability to throw rocks very accurately. So the fellow who was about to cut Kamehameha's lieutenant's throat with the sharp-toothed knife, my wife's great ancestor from across the battlefield lobbed this great stone, knocked him unconscious. Kamehameha's lieutenant was able to turn the tides and slit the throat of the person who was going to slit his throat. And in gratitude, her ancestor was elevated to minor royalty. And if you go to Hawaii now, on the island of Oahu, and you ride over what is called the H3, which is beautiful. It cuts directly through the Ko'olau Mountain. And when you're going from the Honolulu side to the Kailua side, and you come through this tunnel right through the mountain, you look to your left and you'll see this amazing valley and these waterfalls. And that whole valley is called Pihia. Well, it's got another name, but it was Haiku Valley, but it was given to the Pihia family. And of course, like all other things, the Navy took it a little bit before World War II and said, this is ours now, and it was taken from the family. But yes, not quite a president, but some minor vicarious claim to fame, I guess, through the deeds of my betters.
I love that story, Ed. Thank you so much. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is AlohaEd, and he has some legendary stories like the one I just heard for the first time. And we are going to remind you that you're listening to Deep Web 3 Secrets. And we've been on for almost, maybe even 2.5 hours now, from the still trying to figure out the tech to Ed finally come. Ed said, yeah, 10:30 tomorrow. And I sent him a message at 10:30, and he says, I'm about to go into the game. And how was the game, Ed? How was the game?
It was fun. It was fun. So I am a little bit. I have a nerdy side, and for my Discord audience, I we alternate between games. So I ran like a Dungeons and Dragons game for them. I ran this game for them that's kind of like it's called Mouse Ritter, where everybody's character is like some sort of woodland creature. And now we're playing Marvel RPGs. It's a lot of fun. I've got a creative, artistic audience, so sometimes they draw their characters and do different things with them. It's been fun. Um, I think I use Hive differently, bringing it back around. And hopefully I've met all of you. If I haven't, I will, because in 2025, I'm kind of doing like a sociological experiment where I really wanted to understand uh, I'm getting a better understanding of the mechanics of Hive and the technology of Hive, but I wanted a good map of the networks of people in Hive and how people relate to each other with their content and with their goals. So I've kind of been doing a deep dive on all like the community and niches of Hive, which is how Eco and I kind of reconnected. I think we had met before over some libertarian things, but we definitely reconnected this thing because Eco is certainly a people person. And then along with that, I'm using Hive as a tool. So my large audiences are not on Hive. Sometimes I am probably one of the most read creators on Hive, but my content isn't consumed by Hivians, but by local people. I do some
Ed,
local political journalism.
Ed,
Yeah, go
let,
ahead.
let me jump in here because you are stepping all over my talking points. You're three
Oh
deep
no,
already.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'll
we
stop.
gotta
I'll stop.
we gotta back up. No, this is so good. I tell me about your local publication. Tell us all about that, and then we'll go back to some of that other stuff because I want to talk about it all. So, but tell us about your local publication. What are you doing? What does your content mean to you in your local community, physically?
Okay, sure. So, and I guess going back to Hawaii, I was involved in politics at a high level, national politics. I was the vice chairman for communications for one of the large political parties in Hawaii and ran all their communications, and then got to go to Washington, D.C. and be involved in national politics. Got really disgusted with politics and took a substantial break from it. Slowly started getting involved when I moved from Hawaii to, I live in the southern United States in a state called North Carolina. If you've ever seen the Andy Griffith Show or Mayberry, Sheriff Taylor is my neighbor. Started getting involved in politics, but as I got re-involved in politics, I didn't want to just be like a party shill, and I realized that had a dearth we had a dearth of local journalism, and as I interact with people, I've come to see that like the average person or the average citizen's civic knowledge is very low. So they don't understand what the various departments do. They don't understand how civic processes work. They don't understand how they can engage with their local government or their state government to make these entities work for them. And so I started up a local kind of political journal, but it's really more of a civics and news journal. I call it the Brightleaf Bulletin. The reason I call it the Brightleaf Bulletin, where I grew up, was the center of tobacco farming for my region. And the type of tobacco that was grown is brightleaf tobacco. It has a real distinctive look. And so when I named my journal the Brightleaf Bulletin, it's immediately local to people. And so what I've started doing, and hopefully I'm not stepping on you, because I identified like this lack of local journalism and this lack of civic education, I started writing some of the articles on Hive itself, and I've started making videos and doing more so in like three speak. And so I've got this nice rooted censorship resistant thing that just can't be nuked out of oblivion like Facebook can. And some local people do not want to go on Facebook. So my friends that are on Facebook can give them these links. And so I've got a lot of local people using Hive without the significance of it being a blockchain technology really. It's just a website. It's just a place where they can go and get information. And the sites that I'm using, like 3Speak or the Political Hive, or just like Hive Blog or Peak D, it's becoming more recognizable to people, and they're becoming more comfortable going to these resources and seeing it just as another resource. Does that make sense, Iko?
Ed, that was exactly what I'm trying to get into, and I appreciate you covering for me there, because Acid Yo is in the chat.
Am I talking to myself?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ed. That's why I need a straight man. No, I appreciate you covering for me, because Acid Yo came in the chat, and we are following up on some of the things you may have heard us talk about later. So that was perfect. So I want to leave that subject there, because I think we could dig into that on a future episode, because what you just described is a local business, except that the business is journalism, and journalism is particularly apt for Hive. So we'll talk about that in another one. Let's back up again. Let's play Dungeons and Dragons. I am a Pathfinder guy. And everyone I've talked about, a lot of my autistic friends on this Rebel blockchain also played the game, or a version of the game, because you may not know, some of you are listening. The other half have never heard of it. They have no idea what it is. Maybe they think it's satanic. So maybe we should just define what open gaming content is. And in the year 2000, excuse me. Okay, we're reconnecting. What is my setting? Shit. Video. Push the tag. Okay, Alt. Oh, I see. Oh, internet's down. No internet secured. Let us try something. Connected. Connected. We are doing great. We are recording 2 hours now. Very good.
Keep people on the site a little bit longer on other things and give it other use, that they go there for additional use.
Iko may be back with us. Iko, are you back?
Thank you so much, all who covered for me in that moment. Yeah, a little minor internet outage. We're back with the deep Web3 secrets. One of these is going to be the clip that I end up using. So I do want to go. Am I okay to just go back a little bit and keep going, Ed? Or do I need to address anything that happened while I was gone?
So the place you left out. Let me say this though: deep Web3 secrets. The deep Web3 secrets. Anyway, where you broke contact with us, you said something about being a nerd and Pathfinder.
Fantastic. In the year 2000, Wizards of the Coast published a very important document called the Open Gaming License version 1.0a. And I recently published it on the Hive blockchain and learned that there's some culture involving publishing open source content. And many people, including the Hive Watchers, reached out to me about how I should be doing it. Yeah, Ed. That's why I got Ed, Deranged Visions. That's why I got Ed for this. So in the year 2000, they had a problem. And their problem was, how could they get third-party content creators to create content while still maintaining IP, intellectual property? And we did touch on intellectual property a little bit earlier. I just looked at it. We've been recording for 2 hours. So this is going to be an incredible podcast, I think. We'll see what happens. How can they motivate third-party content create if it's already sounding like Hive? Okay, don't get me started. Okay, what they came up with was what's called the Open Gaming License, where they basically open-sourced a large amount of the game, the mechanics, the basics, the crunch, as we say. And the fluff, the names and places were still copyrighted. It was protected. So when my favorite example is Everbard's Black Tentacles, right? Poor Everbard, he's copyright. But I can see on any open source SRD website a spell called Black Tentacles that operates exactly like Everbard's Black Tentacles, but poor Everbard is copyrighted by Wizards of the Coast, or actually in this case Paizo, the Pathfinder company. So that was the year 2000. We have now, in this day and age, 25 years of what's called OGC, Open Gaming Content. But everybody's huddled in their Google Docs because they don't know what's OGC and what's copyright, and they're afraid to get slapped because they're not a lawyer. And so 25 years of open gaming content is set to be unlocked in 12 or 14 different systems that currently use a version of the Open Gaming License, including, I believe, the current 1.2 Open Gaming License applies to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the current version. All of this content and all of these hundreds of millions of players are available to us if we can make a site that clearly shows the difference between open source and copyright and makes that distinction at and before and during and after publishing. So how can we play more games on Hive of the open gaming content variety, Ed?
Well, we could do that in a kind of play-by-post mechanic. And then since we're on Hive, we have the incentives to give the players and the participants some actual real treasure, not just notional treasure, but we have the potential to give them some actual treasure with Hive assets.
I love that, and I think that's where most people's mind go first. And so for the audience playing along, continue to write in the chat all your ideas. We have some examples. Simple Games started out with the Simple Quest or Quest game or whatever it was. And we'd had what was the one I shared with you? Battle Legion, Battleborn. And then Darklands was a little bit later. And so we've had some experience with play-by-post. And we even remembered that there was a dice bot back in the Steam days.
Oh, there's a zombie game, some kind of zombie quest that I just happened to find by Force Science, I think. I've got a bookmark somewhere. I'll share that with you later.
Fantastic. So one thing I said to Ed, Ed, we should go backwards. We should have a character creation contest where people submit their first level characters and not try to adventure. Because, you know, if you look at all the sites on the internet that deal with this content, you'll notice one thing. None of them, well, not none of them, there's some VTTs, virtual tabletops, that are dedicated to helping you play online. But almost none of them actually are about playing. They're about preparation. They're about preparing your adventure or your character or your monsters or your encounters or your loot or your whatever, maps. And so I wonder if the play-by-post is the wrong end of the donkey to grab. Or is that a saying in English?
Is there a right end of the donkey to grab?
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you, it's a much nicer on the teeth end than on the tail end.
May I?
Do it, man. Do it. You're on stage, Hive. They named the blockchain after you. Who am I to turn you off?
Actually, that's quite there's a little story behind that if you want to hear it with. It won't take a second. I was there trying to make a community, and I was along the lines of a hive mind type, or not hive mind, hive community. A word that represents where people do actually work together, but it's people, not bees. The only thing you can really come up with hive. But I didn't want to just call it hive because there was no oomph to it, so I had to put there before it. Now in my mind, I spelled there DEH there with an arm, so it was like the hive, So in my head it was dramatic and all that, and it was suggested to me in the background by someone who was having a dispute with some of the witnesses before the blockchain was created. He said, "Why not just make it their hive, and everybody will relate to it?" So I went with the hive. So yeah, that was kind of side-handed to me. I used that like not a lot of people know that. Anyway,
But that's why they come. That's why they come for deep Web3 secrets.
Anyway, I'm thinking about these games, and you can see like there's a lot of problems going along with these games, especially big name games. But I'm thinking on the development of a front end. If you create a front end, kind of like what Ed has, where he delivers news. Now, but on that same front end, you have kind of leading news. You have down below as well, like these little mini games. So you can get like Super Mario Kart type simulations that are out there. That's mini game that can be played on them websites that are the open source that nobody really cares about. And you can get through all the rules by playing that, and anything that is of consequence, you'll find along the way. As an example, I think going that road, and then you through that as well, if you have leagues, weekly leagues or monthly leagues in these games on who gets the high score for racing around in a Mario Kart, which a lot of old folkies like me would probably just play out of memory thing. Yeah, sentiment here. Yeah, I'm going to get the high score. You get a bit rivalry going. People may play every day against each other. But that's just otherwise
Okay.
you backdooring people in.
Hold on. You did so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so recently, I want to tie this back in to liquidity providing. And I just want to remind everybody from the Hive's moment when I interviewed him here. He mentioned that he had different tokens, little Huckleberry experimentation tokens, and everybody made money and we learned something along the way. And I resonate with that because if any of you know, I have 17 tokens and I love playing with tokens, and some of them are more serious than others. But the important thing is here is that I was talking about a problem I had on chain, which was with the EcoBank, and that was that we as a corporation had not provided the mechanism to provide liquidity, right? Well, all we have is an imperfect order book with expirations that expire every 30 days and a moving Hive price against swap Hive token, which has its own problems. And there was no liquidity. And I said, sorry, if you want to sell your tokens, make a bid. Maybe somebody will buy it. Maybe I'll buy it. But I can't provide liquidity. I use the money to buy a hotel. It's busy. I don't have so one of the suggestions that somebody gave to me was that you schedule a time once a month, maybe call it a liquidity roundup. And one Saturday a month we get together and we provide liquidity, whether that's a buy, a sell, a both, or neither. We get together and we provide liquidity on the market to each other where people can decide what they think it's worth that day. And maybe we even do a podcast where they can do an AMA, ask me anything about how the project's going. And the market can be live and people can be there. I mean, the market's always live. Maybe that's what I was missing because of a 24/7 market, all of my solutions, now I created a solution for income. I think I can apply it to EcoBank in the future, but the future is not today. So what an interesting idea that although we can post on chain at any time, we think about coming together at specific times and generating content together. How would that change the way, I mean, like we limit ourselves for this activity or any particular activity to coming together at a specific time, and that by coming together at a specific time, whether it's for providing liquidity or playing a game, we're adding more value to the content generated during that moment. What do you think about that? Anybody? Ed, I see your microphone's open. Chime in.
Oh, I was just thinking that wrong end of the donkey has some potential legs.
Yeah.
Liquidity
Yes,
markets
it
are-
does. Oh my gosh. Pin that, Ed. Pin that.
Well, I sent you a DM so that you'd remember it. But yeah, I was still musing through wrong end of the donkey just because it's so memorable. Liquidity for side projects, level 2 projects, definitely always going to be an issue and a driver. I do like the idea. Yeah, we do have. We do have 24/7 automated markets and the ability to trade, but I think when you bring people together, what you do is you build focus. Because in the level 2 market, there's so many different things in Hive and so many different projects that can be competing for your focus or your interest, that the utility of an event like that is focusing interest or focusing attention and energy on a narrower range, and maybe seeing if you can persuade people to adopt or to join you in some of your passions or the things that you're pointing at least for a little while. That seems to always be, because Hive is big, Hive is automated, but Hive is actually small, and there's a lot of different projects that are competing for everybody's attention. So I think having a live event periodically might be a good thing to direct attention and get people excited, because that's what it comes down to, right? Can you get a meaningful threshold of people excited about a particular project, and then sustain that project with periodic injections of enthusiasm and progress?
Oh, man, and you sealed the deal, Ed. I'm going to be clipping you. You're going to be in the YouTube shorts for this channel. Okay, so yes, man. So now let's bring this back to gaming. Now, why? And if we continue this show, you'll see I'm going to bring this back to OGC a lot. It turns out I found an open source model that isn't tech, it's gaming, that exists for 3 times as long as our blockchain technology. And so it's very fascinating. I began in December because my group of friends from way back in the day, we're all adults now and have manager types of jobs, and we don't get together as often. And I'm the worst. I live in South America. They all live, at least in the States, but all different states now. It's a whole thing to get together and play a game. And this is real. This is not about blockchain. The real people face this issue, and they spend months preparing. In our case, we try to have a get-together every 18 months. And it's such a big deal, and it's gotten kind of out of hand, like 11 people now. How do we even play a game? What game do we play? Everybody brings every board game they've ever owned, and we have a blast at it. But I was trying to fit into this context how to play Pathfinder because I like playing Pathfinder, even if it's not a long, continuous, drawn out story, which I also like, but I just like playing. So I created a tournament of power. I said, we'll put up some CRs, right? Some challenge ratings. We'll establish some party limits, and like you can submit, anybody in the group can submit encounters of a certain CR level or parties or characters or, have some submission requirements. And when we get there, what we're going to have is a big pile of CRs and a big pile of characters, and we can take turns DMing. A group can play a tabletop game of 4 or 6, and another group can grab a challenge rating and a few characters and play a round of Tournament of Power with the Pathfinder, with the unified homebrew set, but everybody submitted different things, and we can all play as DM, we can all play as a player, and have a little fun that way. Could any lesson like that be taken for us if we want to do something about Pathfinder on Hive? Where's your head at, Ed, in terms of like playing and what that means?
Well, I think character creation and people, particularly new players, always agonize over character creation. And so I think that is potentially a neat thing to incentivize. And because character creation on Hive, we have kind of a unique commonality in that most of us like to tell stories and like to write stories. And that is what creating a character is, along with some guidelines, with some attributes. And I think a character creation contest is a good way to kick it off. And then leveraging the open game content, for the rules, so that nobody has to buy a rule book or find a copy of something. We can give people some instructions and give them a week or two to run with it, and then maybe even have a series. And at the end of that, after we've had people that have got that time invested in creating characters, and they're posting questions, they're posting their characters, and people are upvoting this, so we're incentivizing it. At the end of it, now we've got characters, and we can take them on an adventure.
I love that. Yes, if you may, because I just discovered that there's another chat channel called Deep Web 3 Secrets. I don't know who did that. So, Hive, I am investigating a mystery. Please take the mic.
The character creation thing and what you're saying there, it's been done before. Anybody who's been here for a few years for the beginning of Splinter, that is exactly how plans began. I wrote held art contests, and he made sure those art contests got plenty of rewards and votes. So loads of people wanted them vote. Loads of people got involved in the art. He got all the artwork he wanted done by the people on the blockchain. And those who really done the art well, he wanted them to do more. They got an extra few votes on, yeah, we're keeping you. And other people who's doing crappy art, well, they didn't get, they kind of got side and lost interest themselves after a while. And you got a core crew doing the art, while he'd be working on code and stuff like that. So Alex is a coder. If you can supply the votes, that will encourage people with and with the AI now, one of you can probably do the artwork in an afternoon, just getting the AI out carrying. Lady, white hair, long, blue eyes, slender, slim, medium, fat. What does that look like by an AI generator? That's what everyone else is going to do. So putting characters together type of thing, yeah, it's what do you think the effort people are going for in is worth in a reward for them to do all that time and come up with X amount of money, because most of them will spend half an hour using AI.
Okay. Let me talk about this because you brought up so many important points here, and I need to tease it out. First of all, on this project account, I began to post some of my OGC, or let's say I built the table in Markdown for my first piece of OGC. And of course, I used open source material as a base. I sourced all of the layers that I added to my, including some of my own layers, which are called homebrew. And that homebrew's on Hive. Nobody seemed to have a problem with the homebrew. But when I put it all together, I got a message from HiveWatcher, and they said, we have reason to believe this is AI spun content. Please get in touch with us. And so I got in touch with them, and I said, it's not. I spun it myself. It took me a lot of time to spin it. And because I don't know if you know, but the reason that this says +3 is not because anybody else's is +3. It's because I combined these 7 unique features of the OGC, and now it's a +3. And the fact that I'm showing you my math behind that +3 in a very well-designed format, I have to say, I tried to copy D20pfsrd.com the best I could, because they have a pretty good way to show this free and open information. When I copied it, I used their method to show how the back calculations are done, because this has value to future people modifying my OGC. And so some of this has to do with expectations, and some of it has to do with a very funny thing, which is, you know that posts and comments are all posts. And the only difference between a post and a comment is that basically a post is a parentless comment. I should say posts and comments are all comments, and comments without parents are posts. For some reason, we can do whatever the hell we want in comments, and we've all decided this. That's why we have waves and threads and snaps, and musings was done in comments. Maybe they were the first one to containerize the comments. But for some reason, there's no difference technically other than there's no parent on a post. We could do whatever the heck we want in a comment. And I think, is it better that I post OGC in a comment or in a post? Because as an engineer, it's the stupidest question you could ever. And many engineers have looked at me like I'm insane when I tell them, hey, we should containerize in comments this type of content. They say, what are you talking about? My content's valuable. And I said, it's not about value. It's about, like, there are less social restrictions on posting it in comments and no technical difference. Oh, it's so hard for an engineer to understand why his beautiful content should be in a comment. But there's no difference. We vote on them the same. Okay, so there's a couple of things tied into this about AI, about comments versus posts, and about content type. But I think I need Ed to get me back on track. Ed, bring me back on track. Ed, what are we talking about again?
Okay, so just to give everybody some context who may not be familiar with open gaming content, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, some of the other games allow people to reference kind of like the core mechanics. So if you strip away their branding, you can use the core mechanics, and then you can put your flourishes on top of that. And so what you're doing is you're allowing other gamers across the world to be able to access these mechanics, your branding, your storytelling, right, to use in their games. But a requirement of that is you have to reference the license and any way that you may have invoked the license or changed the license. So if I understand it correctly, you made a post with that amended license, how you were using the open gaming license, and then how other people could use what you had created. And you did it on a public Hive post.
I did, and most of the post, I put it there, most of the post is the open source content. My addition, my flourish, is very few words. Maybe even you could call it a Twitter or Instagram style. And frankly, I'm not particularly worried about the rewards on this post. It was more important that I bait out the conversation about open source content, because I plan to be posting a lot more of it. What we've determined is with Hive Watchers, the custom has become that open source content that's already published, which would not be the case for new participants adding their flourishes. But open source content like the license that is already published should either be decline payout, burn payout, or burn payout is null, or there was one more. Maybe it was the DHF. They said some people prefer to send it to the DHF, which is interesting since we talked about what, with Qasim, we talked about what are the consequences of using burning or DHF out of the reward pool instead of the already determined by governance amounts of rewards and separation of rewards that they already get. But decline rewards is a problem for us technically because anyone who would accidentally vote on that would actually be harmed in a curation perspective. So the reason people pick a burn or a DHF beneficiary is to not harm their voters. So it's very complicated, but we did start a conversation about it because I do plan somehow, it could be in custom JSON. I don't have to post it in a visible way for front end. I feel like it would be dumb not to, but I could put it in custom JSON. I'm still deciding, but all of the open source gaming content needs to be on Hive, whether it's on a post, whether it's on a comment, or whether it's in custom JSON. And then everybody that participates in that process by building their own thing and deciding to share it. Because what happens now is everyone builds their own thing and they're afraid to share it because they might get sued. They're not a lawyer. Always JSON, but JSON don't get no rewards. Don't it have value? Don't our posts have value? Anyways, that's the conversation. So Ed, keep us going. Keep us rolling, Ed. Don't let me get stagnant and stuck in the mud on any one thing.
Quick
Well,
solution.
go ahead, Hive. Sorry for stepping over you.
Sorry, quick solution there is I'm sure you have an account there that does nothing. Nobody knows about it anyway. And I'm sure if you copied and pasted all those licenses over and you just made a post visually about all of those licenses in that account and you did not vote on them, nobody knows that them posts have been made. And then you just log out and go back into your own account. And every time you want to use one of those licenses, you just reference that license. That's it, and a link to the license. And it's nothing in the post, but you have to reference the information.
Well, let me jump in here because what you've just suggested is, first of all, I want to say for you listeners, first of all, there's an engineer. Listen to the engineer. You know how you could do that? And he gave me a viable solution. Thank you, engineer. The reason I didn't do that, and I do like that idea, though, because I think this license could and should be posted 100 times. But based on my own reading of the license, every single person that plans to publish OGC content of their own is required to publish this license. So one thing that could make my content illegal is if I didn't publish this license. And so it was one of the first things, as I read it and learned about it, I said, I need to make this post on this account. Now, I could have added more flavor of my own. I could have added a picture. I could have put a selfie in it. I could have put a picture of myself eating an ice cream cone. But I needed for my business to publish this post. And I also needed to figure out if they were going to downvote me, and I did learn a lot in that practice. Burning has pros and cons. It's all trade-offs all the way down, guys. Burning has pros and cons. DHF has pros and cons. And decline rewards has pros and cons. Listen to Qasim. Inflation will get burned, but curators will still get their part. Do you see the hypocrisy? Okay. It's not a particularly bad hypocrisy, but it is a way to burn only the poor authors' inflation, not the curators, big old bad boy curators who wouldn't ever want to sacrifice anything. And of course, I don't want my curators to sacrifice anything. I would never want to create a post that would cause them to lose money. That would be foolish of me. I need to make sure my project creates the best posts so that they can feel good about voting on me. And so we are just still exploring these things. You'll notice that I haven't posted any more strictly open source licenses on the account anymore. I don't have any other ones to post yet. Eventually, I will need, I believe, required by law, when we get into something like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, I will need to publish. I will legally be obligated to publish. So at that time, I'll need to make a decision on who I want to send the rewards to. Who's going to get dinged? If it's just me, or if it's the curators too, or if it's the DHF, or if it's the whole author pool, I'll make those determinations. But at the time of speaking, I've posted all of the licenses I am legally obligated to post on Hive, and I learned something doing it, so I'm good. But we're learning. A lot of people don't know this nuance, and I love that this is happening in the chat. People are asking questions. How does this stuff work? Because one of the challenges I feel is that we believe more in future tech that hasn't been built yet, and we don't know what our own chain is already capable of.
Eco Hive has made an interesting a comment that's interesting to me, because I don't understand what the consensus or the etiquette for this practice is. And he said, I need to self-vote more and even that out. What is the accepted etiquette and consensus in 2025, February 8th, with self-voting on post?
Okay, this is my understanding of a socio-cultural phenomenon, okay? So just know that what we're dealing with is humans here, not science. My understanding is that self-voting is, in all sense of the word, masturbation, right? We all understand your desire to do it, but please do it sparingly and do it in the cases where it's the most important, right? And so some uses I've seen acceptable are when a particularly political post has a high level of comments, right? Hundreds of comments. So you vote your comment for visibility. And what are you saying with that vote? It's not that you want the money. It's that, hey, I have a stake. Do you see that one single vote of mine raises me above you, plebs, loud and shouting? By voting my comment, I'm indicating that I believe my comment is important to be heard because I have a stake. And I'm voting, self-voting for visibility is the way they say it. And it's a powerful statement, and generally, if you don't do that 10 times a day, people accept that. In a very specific situation, that's very accepted for even big self-voters, big stakeholders, to fat self-vote themselves right to the top of the comment thread and say, in a very literal sense, my stake makes my opinion more important.
When avoiding the monetary reward, self-voting in them instances boost yourself up, I think probably should go to a high fund that can build that external finance investment we need instead of going to other place, and you can build by problem that way. And then people still get to the top of this. But with the self-voting, and I said that there in kind of half a jest, but yeah, I do self-vote. I have this account called the Silver Quest, plus the lot Euro millions. 2 draws a week. A draw costs $2.50, so a 5 of them. But it only has one member, and that's no. So.
Hold on a second, TheHive. Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I need to hit you with a stick because you've changed the subject, and maybe it's my fault because I didn't explain. So this is really good what you just said. First of all, self-voting. What is it? I kind of thought it was obvious, but it isn't obvious because I have 72 accounts. So maybe we need to define what self-voting is. I control 72 accounts. Self-voting is when EcoInstant votes EcoInstant. That is what self-voting is. Now, everything else is talked about in the local jargon, circle jerk. When I vote my company account, what I'm doing is I'm not self-voting, I'm circle jerking. And it's up to any sort of policeman or detective to determine if that's abusive, right? But I'm not self-voting. What I'm saying is this guy likes that guy, and that guy is a company, and I'm the manager. And of course I like what my company's doing. So we should be very careful on a technical level what an account is, because accounts aren't people, and people aren't necessarily accounts either. When we talked about onboarding 3 hours ago, we said the most important thing would be that they were human. But the first thing a human, after discovering this technology, does is probably create another account to shitpost on. Because their first account is now suddenly their professional and official account. And you don't want to accidentally post a D-Buzz or an ActiFit post from your professional and main account. That would be horrifying. Right? Do you remember, anybody remember the Steam drug wars days? Oh my gosh, I was just trying to play a game. I wasn't trying to poison my blog feed. So, the first thing any user is going to do when they figure this stuff out is create an alt for shitposting and experimentation. So, we need to be very careful about what self-voting means. To me, in the strictest and technical sense, it's when AlohaEd votes AlohaEd.
Okay. I have no arguments against what you have said. And believe me, I agree with you 100%. That is kind of technically by the law on par, so to speak. But I am not by the law person. On the contrary, little Irish folk. So excuse me for this bit. I say it as I have X amount of stake, and I have that stake allocated different account for different purpose. One of them accounts is the lottery account that doesn't have much stake, but most of what in that account is delegated to other account, and where that is delegated though, unless that's still Qasim's Pack X, unless it's there, it's delegated out to me. So that when that vote, it comes back to me because I don't get a lot of votes. And if I don't do that, that silver quest count for the lottery will never grow, and I will forever be paying a fiver a week. But right now, that brings back in 160 a week, and the amount that's bringing back in is growing. So eventually, that fiver a week will pay for itself. Doing two lines lot.
I love the scheme and mechanism you just shared with me. This is a sustainable mechanism, sustainable community building. All we're missing is the community, right, guys? So let's just take this opportunity to back out of technical details, and let's go back to Ed's local community interested in reading his bulletin. I would like to know if Ed, if you think these local community people just reading the bulletin, do you think that their life is enriched because you use Hive, or their life is enriched because they use Hive?
Probably because I use Hive, because to them it's just a website. So I think what matters to them is being able to access the content and maybe share a link in some other place with someone they want to be able to read the content. And so the quality of the content, the quality of the access, the mechanics of that, I don't think are overly important to them. It's just does the content itself give them a better understanding or a better tools to interface with local governments and with the local news? And I think for them, that's the decisive quality. Does that make sense?
It makes great sense. And I suspected that, but hearing it in the wild is validating, and maybe validating to all of us who have been exploring these topics of onboarding. And I'm wondering now, I just want to take a break in the chat. I hear people coming in, I think. I'm happy to do this all day. Now, let me ask you guys a question. For my podcast, I have now been recording 2 hours and 45 minutes. I start wondering at what point should we do another one later, because this is good. I could do this all day. We've been having a lot of fun here. What do you think about it, Ed? I mean, is there a limit to this? Usually I think 3 hours is the right number, but
3 hours, sometimes even 2 hours, is the limit, depending on what's being discussed. And otherwise, you get rapid drop off if you're talking about taking that podcast, and I'm assuming you're recording it and you're going to repackage it somewhere else.
yeah,
Um,
probably
we
YouTube.
were talking about comments and comments value earlier. So I always try and make good use of the mechanics of Hive to the extent that I understand them, to be able to reward the people who engage with me. So can I just one of the things I use is a service called Comment Rewarder, and so I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to take the rewards you're giving to me, and I'm going to give it back to my audience. And one of the people who reads me the most and upvotes me the most is Anti-Socialist, but he never leaves comments on that post, so I can give him back his own Hive. Anti-Socialist, leave comments on those posts so I can give you back some of your assets, because I appreciate your interaction. And I'm growing my Hive power, and every month I purchase Hive with a fiat, but I'm not to the point yet where I'm handing out big votes. So leave me some comments so
Okay.
I can give you back your own money.
I love this. I love this a lot because it brings us into the dust sweeper, and maybe few people know this. A couple of cycles ago, there was a maybe spam mechanism. It's a chain level spam mechanism, which is that I actually understood it wrong for a long time. But basically, if a comment or post, because they are the same thing, they share the same reward pool and all the same curation and rules on voting. If a comment or post does not reach the 0.02 HTU threshold, that's a Hive token unit. It's a number that you see on PeakD or the site of your choice. That number is actually not a dollar value. It's a Hive token unit, which is supposed to be close to a dollar. If you do not reach 0.02 or 2 cents of Hive token unit, the post does not get paid out. There is no curation rewards, and there are no author rewards. It is a spam mechanism to reach a minimum threshold and to get rewarded. So, Dust Sweeper, very nice. Comment Rewarder, very nice. I believe that a lot of people vote. I created an alt for my phone because I got a Chinese phone this time. And finally, I decided my accounts are big enough that I don't need to ever carry these keys ever, anywhere, ever. So I made a Eco the Exploiter Wizard alt, and I comment on my phone on the go. And can kind of adopt an alternate personality a little bit, but generally that's the on the go me, where I just give a glib or snarky or funny or honest response, frank response in a comment, and love to reply to everybody. It's the kind of comment I'd leave on Twitter, but it's not no longer the kind of comment I can leave with my professional Eco Instant businessman blog account. So who's doing that? Who is that? Somebody's playing with their pencils. Ed, I lost my train of thought. Bring me back.
You were you were talking about Dust Sweeper,
Oh,
and so all Dust Sweeper is you just send Hive to the Dust Sweeper account, and then you may need to send some memos. Like, because I have very little Hive power, my minimal votes aren't worth much. So all I do is I load Dust Sweeper with up with about 5 hive at a time, so I can go vote to my heart's content. And if my vote is worth less than the minimal threshold, Dust Sweeper will come back through my votes, vote it up to the minimal level, uh, and then I've got mine configured so it is protecting outgoing votes. So if I go vote on anti-socialist or I go vote on the Hive and maybe I vote with 10%, that's going to be a dust vote. So the Dust Sweeper service just comes behind and votes it up just enough so that it will be at the minimal vote level and then deducts that from the Hive that I've sent it. Great, great, great feature.
I love that feature. A lot of people might not know this. It's very helpful if you have, let's say, a 500 hive power, and you're finally got a nice vote, and all of a sudden everybody wants your delegation. And you say, oh my gosh, I love this project. I want to support them. And you delegate your hive power, and all of a sudden you're not it's not worth anything anymore. And so things like this happen. It happens to big wallets, small wallets. All of a sudden we find that our vote is not is not doesn't have the juice. Dust Sweeper helps. And there's another option, right, Ed? The configuration, incoming votes as well?
Yeah, so you can set it so people you may get followers who themselves do not have a lot of voting power, so you can set it to protect your incoming votes. And so, say somebody votes you with a dust vote, you can send it so that Dust Sweeper will come in and again make up the difference. I have mine set up for outgoing votes, so at least I can vote. I can give you half a 2 cents. I can give you a bright shiny penny with my Hive vote.
Uh, Perfect, Ed. And I want to just share the second option sounds, maybe it sounds a little more selfish, but actually I believe both options are viable, and so I'll just explain why, what's really going on here. First of all, since curation exists, some of you might be asking or thinking, this sounds like a great business. I get to go vote for people, earn the curation rewards, and they're paying me for it. Sounds like vote buying. But actually, remember, with the 24-day window, Dust Sweeper actually waits. It waits to see if anybody else will help out, if maybe somebody else will vote on it. And when Dust Sweeper goes through, it actually goes through at the 6-day window before the 6.5-day window that abuse fighters look for. It goes through the 6-day window, and it is basically at that point giving all of its curation to the tiny account that gave the dust vote. So in Ed's case, that's his vote. So that 2 cents is divided up half between anti-socialist, who left a comment this time, and half between Ed, whose dust vote wouldn't have earned curation otherwise. So half of that vote, Ed is getting back into his wallet to recharge his dust sweeper next week or next month. In the case of someone like me, who might, I don't yet, or I don't know, but I don't have this, but I could do an incoming vote service. Who am I rewarding? Well, yes, of course, I get a penny, thank goodness, but who cares? I'm a big user. I am incentivizing this little guy to use his vote on me, and I'm giving him curation despite his ignorance of not having a big enough vote. So both of these are viable services, and if you know what's happening in the math, you might say both of them are really great services for onboarding small accounts.
100%. Well, Eco, should we start wrapping it up? We've got to be at that 3 hour mark.
We're wrapping. It's a wrap, guys. And okay, what I want to do is I want the 3 people who've talked today. No, 4. We got Qasim back. Okay, so one by one, I'll call on you, but I would like each one of you to say deep Web3 secrets, and then just like I'm gonna make clips and stuff, because I will. But I would like first, I'm gonna count to 2 so we get a little silence. And I would like the Hive to start. Would you do my tagline, the Hive? Wait, count 2 seconds, go.
Deep Web 3 secrets.
Whoa, I like that one. Okay, now we got AlohaEd. Bring it in here. Bring it home, King of Hawaii.
Deep Web3 secrets.
That was so good. That was so. Qasim, can you use the microphone? If not, we'll do it next week. Don't worry. You just let me know. But if you can unblock the microphone, you could give me a deep Web3 secrets. Okay, I think he's not doing the mic. So that's it, everybody. I will be doing rando times. Just watch out for the here pings until we find a good time, because this mic is open. Anybody can make a show, and I have made deep Web3 secrets. Until next time, guys.